All right, good morning, everybody. And good morning. How you doing, Sugar?
Well, Wyatt, I'm rolling.
Indeed.
No, I'm not really. I'm not intoxicated, rich, and dying of tuberculosis.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the ecstasy. Actually, I don't know. I never tried it. Don't intend to.
Apparently, it's amazing.
That's what I hear. But anyway, so...
Like, every happy feeling you ever had all happens at once.
Like I said before, we're not going to be done talking about Elon occasionally for a while, it seems. And today, trending on Twitter, which is getting more and more interesting every day because of the Musk buyout news, is hashtag Twitter exposed. There's a couple of reasons for this. A couple of things happened over the weekend that have kind of pushed this up to the top of the pile, and that is Project Veritas just released a new expose with senior engineer from Twitter, Siru Murugesan. And it also happens that there's a little bit of a spat going on between Elon and some of the Twitter lawyers. Elon is talking about the number of bots on Twitter, as in fake users. And the lawyers over at Twitter have actually accused him of violating his NDA by talking about the sample size. Now, Twitter has millions, are they a billion users? They have a shitload of users, and apparently they're using a sample size of 100 accounts to calculate bots, and reporting that only 5% of Twitter users are bots. And
that's still a pretty high fucking number.
It is. It's a pretty high number. So we're gonna watch a little bit of this of the Veritas video and talk about it some. But what were you gonna say?
No, it just before you got started, I was going to say, are we just going to push discussing the thing that happened on Firearms Friday? Is that where it's the most appropriate?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So let's take a peek at this video from Veritas. Siru Murugesan, senior engineer at Twitter.
What do you mean? Capitalist. If we weren't really operating in a capitalist mode, we were very socialist. Like we're all like communist. Ideologically, it does not make sense. Like because we're actually censoring the right, not the left. Because everyone on the right wing will be like, "Bro, it's okay to say, you just gotta tolerate it." The left will be like, "No, I'm not gonna tolerate it. I need it censored, or else I'm not gonna be in the conflict." So it does stuff.
See, and that's
Wow,
one of
he
the
just
he
gave up
came
the
out and said
ghost.
it. Yeah.
Like that's. Boy, if a tree falls in a forest and there's nobody around to hear it, does it still make a sound? I mean, apparently, because we have suspected this. I mean, and really, am I surprised? Are you surprised? Is anybody surprised? In some ways, this even dovetails into our argument about yesterday about how the thing that we've been suspicious of is that social media companies deliberately screw guys like you and I over. Like, oh no, because I don't know if you remember this, but for a very short time, the right owned Twitter. Like, brevity is the soul of wit, and all that kind of. So yeah, of course they started like algorithmically demoting the right and promoting the left. Like, I still keep getting suggestions to follow pages of trannies on Twitter, and I'm like, A, I didn't know there were that many trannies on Twitter, and then B, I'm like, this is what you think that I want to follow? Right? Not libertarian pages, not pages about guns, and not pages about Georgia football. Pages about trannies. Sure.
I don't get tranny suggestions on Twitter. What have you been doing? What are some of those suggestions?
Not trannies.
You've been hanging out in Midtown?
I see the obvious joke is Cameron's been doing trannies, except no, I haven't. And nor have they been doing me. Let's be clear.
Taking your search history into consideration. Oh yeah, brother, I might not have told that one. Louis Grizzard used to do a bit in a stand-up routine. He said, I got a bad heart. I got one valve's weak. Is because my daddy couldn't get a good toe hold. I told my preacher about that, and he said, brother, I don't think I'd have told that. But I mean, right here we've got a senior engineer going into detail about it, and the thing here, I'm actually using this one from this clip is from Undoomed's feed. And if you haven't watched Undoomed, he's pretty solid, very, very funny commentator, and he points this out, and I agree 100%. We all know that Twitter is extremely biased, so nothing in this video is really surprising me, and that's spot on. It's not just that we know; we've seen the absolute evidence. We were talking about the situation with Rush earlier. Cameron, I'll ask you to elaborate on that in just a minute, but this bit here, except that they're working 4 hours a week and taking months of vacation while getting paid around $150,000 a year. That's astonishing and perverse. And I got to admit, I agree with Undoomed on that as well. Speaking of trannies,
That's what that was?
Well, it's an LGBTQ thing, whatever it is. Wait, so the Twitter employees work 4 hours a quarter? Sign me up. And I ain't gonna lie. Let's think about what that means for just a minute. If you've got your employees working 4 hours a week for $150,000 a year, I can imagine people bending their own personal moral positions and ethical positions quite a bit for such a gig. 4 hours a week for $150,000 a year. That's not just good money. That means that I've got a lot of time to go make a lot more other money in similar types of gigs.
Yeah, like that becomes this baseline. That's sort of like when you join the reserves. That's 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks every summer. Like
Oh, dude, breaking news. Sugar Tits like to reply.
Oh.
Sugar Tits is, that's celebrity level shit, right? Awesome. So, for anybody who doesn't know, Baring is a commentator that's pretty, an Australian commentator that's pretty well known. Sugar Tits is his wife. They both have angry cartoon teddy bear emojis for their Twitter avatars and stuff. And Sugar Tits shared an article this morning about it was a hit piece article on somebody, and I noticed that the byline on the hit piece was Taylor Lorenz, the doxer that just attacked libs of TikTok. Okay, so
anyhow,
that's actually ever so narrowly related to what we're talking about this morning, because libs of TikTok, that was a story about censorship on Twitter. But anyway, so there's that expose this weekend, and here's the article from the Daily Mail on it. Twitter does not believe in free speech. Undercover Project Veritas recording reveals Twitter engineers saying platform censors the right, but not the left. Everyone who works there is commie as fuck, and they hate Elon Musk. So the bullet points here are: Project Veritas have published a secretly recorded conversation with a Twitter engineer admitting the company has a left-wing bias. And, okay, so here's one of the things that just amazes me, and thank God for it, with Project Veritas, is how many of these people are willing to just sit down with somebody and just straight explain it.
Yeah, like a Bond villain at the end of the movie, right? Oh, you see, Mr. Bond,
yeah,
since you're all going to die anyway.
The Acorn scandal, the Planned Parenthood selling baby parts for exorbitant amounts of money, and the woman sits down bragging about how she's about to sell a heart and a couple of kidneys so that she can pay off her new supercar. And just exactly right. These people will this one. It sounds like this guy was annoyed with the situation, fed up, and he wants it to get exposed, right? This guy doesn't strike me as one of the mastermind supervillain types, but the number of supervillain types that we catch just monologuing on it is amazing to me.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious what Project Veritas does. It's not that these guys are just willing to go out and spew the truth every chance that they get. But if you notice, these things always happen in restaurants over a meal.
Yep.
I think we can infer there's a fair amount of alcohol involved. And if you want to have a difficult conversation with somebody, if you want to disarm them, you do it over a meal. Okay? Herman Cain used to joke that he'd always fire somebody over breakfast so that he had the table between them. He could buy them a meal, and then they had the whole rest of their day to figure out what they were going to do
right
after he fired them.
And that's mighty considerate.
So, look, they go through, and they set these people up brilliantly, is what they do.
Real quick, I want to tag St. Michael. St. Michael says, I don't put much faith in what atheists say, since I know that a lot of being an atheist is to deny morality and call things that are moral issues subjective. That is one reason that some people gravitate toward atheism. And Undoomed and Baring are both good examples to the contrary.
Well, Sargon of Akkad.
Huh?
Sargon of Akkad.
Yes, Sargon of Akkad as well. These guys are all three very traditionalist moral guys, very family-centered, very freedom-centered. So
pro-free speech, anti-nonce.
Yeah, exactly. Pro-free speech, anti-nonce. That's pretty solid. And yeah, it's I mean, we're not going to spend a lot of time on that, but that might be a good future show topic.
Oh, see, Alex.
And Alex. Yeah, Alex is one of those heathens.
No, Steve. Chopped liver is enjoyable.
Oh, yeah, and Steve, honestly, I've talked to Steve and Alex both, and I would argue that neither of you is a legitimate atheist, more a either a hard agnostic or a confirmed ambivalent.
So anyhow, bots on Twitter and left-wing bias.
Here's the other thing that happened. Wait, no, I don't want that one. I want this one. So, the New York Post article, Elon Musk says Twitter claims bot check broke NDA. So Elon on Saturday tweeted that Twitter's legal team accused him of violating a non-disclosure agreement by revealing that the sample size for their social media platforms checks on automated users was just 100 accounts. And for real, 100 is not a sample size. And when he says they accused him, he says any reasonable random sampling process is fine if many people independently get similar results for percent of fake spam duplicate accounts. That will be telling. I picked 100 as the sample size number because that is what Twitter uses to calculate its less than 5% fake spam duplicate. Twitter legal just called to complain that I violated their NDA by reviewing the bot check sample size as 100. This actually happened. And hey, there's go ahead.
Just real quick, can you click back over and scroll to the top? Not like you click back over. Show the screen, please.
Oh,
it's worth it, I promise. And I'll scroll up, leave it right about there. The Sports Illustrated swimsuit model, totally unrelated, but it's funny. I saw somebody on Twitter say that she ate the other Sports Illustrated swimsuit models, and that's how she made it on the cover. Woo! Anyhow, so
okay.
So 100 though, out of millions, right? That's as you say. That's not even really a sample size. We talked about this the other day when a few days ago when we were talking about polling. It's like, I have a poll of 2,200 people, and it's like, is 2,200 people really even a poll?
Right.
You know, so according to like 150 million people voted in the presidential election.
Right. And the size of the data set depends on the size of the size of the sample depends on the size of the data set. So, like, for example, we live in Conyers, Georgia, Rockdale County. It's the smallest county in the state of Georgia and the second safest Democrat voting district in the country. But, Rockdale County, smallest county in the state of Georgia. So if you want to know what the public sentiment of county residents is here, a 2,200 person sample would actually be substantial. That would generate reasonable, statistically useful results. If you want to know what the favorite ice cream flavor is of the world, and you sample 2,200 Rockdale County residents, that is not a useful data sample, right? And by the way, the answer would be peach. It's Georgia. It wouldn't be everybody's favorite, but it would be a large enough part of the sample set that it would suggest that the whole world is all about peaches. And I'm sorry, but pistachio is superior.
No, Moose Tracks is superior.
Moose Tracks is an ice cream flavor. It's a freaking...
It is an ice cream flavor. I could look, even like the not fancy ice cream brands mixture. Have Moose Tracks. Oh, okay.
It's not a flavor.
All ice creams are mixtures. Literally.
No. Okay, so you have ice cream that has a flavor, and then you have ice cream that has a bunch of shit in it.
Oh, so Rocky Road is not a flavor.
Correct.
I'll come back to you.
Rocky Road is a dish. Rocky Road, Moose Tracks, stuff like that. That's a whole sundae just prepackaged for lazy people that don't want to buy the parts. I'm totally comfortable with buying all the parts and producing a legit, like, 4-nanner Splitzkrieg.
Okay. All right. We'll come back to this. But pistachio, no.
Definitely a blue voting area. Yes. Yes. Speaking of gingivitis, so I'm not even. Yep. Twitter's board that nobody will come close to making an offer similar to scope and. Okay, never mind. Can you try to read that sentence?
Which one? Twitter's board that nobody will come close to making an offer. How? Okay, I can do this.
Okay, so it's not just me.
Twitter's board that nobody will come close to making an offer similar to scope, and that Musk, whose electric car maker Tesla has lost $300 billion of its market capitalization since the deal was announced last month, is fully aware of this. Fully aware of what? Oh.
Okay,
Musk what they're saying is that they know that nobody else has both the balls and the juice to do what Musk has done, so he can play chicken because he's the only one that has billions to lose on playing chicken. I think that's what they're trying to say there, but
well, and I'm gonna back up a sentence. Cancer. So, Musk on Friday sent Twitter stock plummeting more than 25% after announcing his buyout was on pause, fueling speculation that the world's richest man was looking for a way to back out of the deal. And I don't think that's what's happening. But Musk tweeted during the early hours of Sunday that he is yet to see any analysis that shows that the social media company has fake accounts less than 5%. He later said that there is some chance it might be over 90% of daily active users. Now, 90% of daily active users is very different than 90% of users.
Yeah, but I don't tweet every day. And a lot of people do not tweet every day. And just because I scroll every day doesn't mean that I tweet every day.
And daily active users, you might have 1 million users and only 100,000 daily active users. And those numbers are low just for the sake of easy numbers. But those 100,000 daily active users are not going to be the same people, right? So it might be me tweeting today and him tweeting tomorrow. Well, today I'm one of the 100,000 daily active users, and tomorrow he's one of the 100,000 daily active users, because you're just talking about a generic a number of users, not which users those are. And what we're looking at for the question of fraud, make no mistake, fraud is what we're talking about here. Is what percent of the daily active users are fraudulent users. And the reason this is important is because Twitter has been caught at least twice before falsely reporting their daily active users. And this is, in years past. We're not talking about recently. But at least twice in the company's history, they've been busted for fraudulently reporting their daily active users in order to inflate advertising prices. So Musk has a very legitimate concern here. If the company has an artificially inflated market valuation, and that is due to fraud committed by the company, and I'm not saying definitively that it is, I'm saying that there is a reasonable suspicion that that is the case. And yeah, I see that, guys, and I'm not going to try to fix that while we're live, especially not with 6 minutes left. But there is a legitimate concern here. Now, it could be that it's a good play for, and I think this is the right play. If Elon can actually expose the fraud for real, if there is fraud, Elon can expose the fraud, prosecute or at least eliminate those responsible for the fraud within the company, and then renegotiate the deal at a more reasonable market valuation based on legitimate numbers after the fraud is ferreted out, then that's a big deal. That could make a huge difference. And it wouldn't surprise me if the final result of this is Musk buys Twitter for half the original offer.
Steve asked the question, if advertisers pay for 100 million views and 5% were bots, that'd be fraud, right? Well,
Yes.
Hey, yeah, well, not only that, but here's one. If you're working 4 hours a quarter or a month or whatever it was and getting paid $150,000 a year, aren't you complicit in that fraud?
Yes.
I mean, because here's the deal. We're talking about a publicly traded company. And once you take your company public, theoretically, like Chris and I have business ventures, and we could choose to operate at a loss forever if that's what we want to do. We don't want to, but we could choose to. However, once you have investors that you've promised an ROI, which is what all public companies are, you now have like literal federal laws that say you've got a responsibility to turn those people profit. If
Specifically, a fiduciary duty.
Yes. You have a responsibility to turn those people profit. You've got a legal responsibility to turn those people profit. Now, look, if you invest in the magical widget and the magical widget fails, that's not the same thing. But if you invest in the magical widget and then somebody decides, never mind, I don't want to do the magical widget anymore, that's fraud.
Right. Once you're at the decision-making level, once you're at the decision-making level in a public company, the laws surrounding fiduciary obligation there's two major elements there. If your decision can be shown to clearly have been done in malice, like there was a reasonable expectation that your maneuver would have cost the shareholders money, and that you should have known that, and that your maneuver was either very costly because it was incompetent or malicious, then you're open not just to civil litigation where the individual shareholders can sue you to recover their losses.
It's a crime.
But you're open to both. They can absolutely sue you to recover their losses, and you have committed a crime. So that fiduciary obligation is no joke. Go ask a professional financial advisor for some stock advice without hiring him. See how that conversation goes, right? Go ask an insurance agent to guarantee the returns on an index-traded life insurance policy without sitting down to sign a contract. See how that conversation goes.
Ooh, I know how that'll go.
I know exactly how that conversation goes.
It's going to be a big fat no. So I'm not opening myself up to liability and like, no. Listen, things that your insurance agent tell you are binding if you have proof that they told you that. Ergo, an insurance agent that knows anything about what they're doing ain't doing shit without having you sign a contract
That
first.
is correct.
Right.
So, all right, and I think that brings us just about up to time. I smell the donuts, and I think it's time to call it. You got anything left to close on, brother?
I also smell the donuts. Look, I just really want to stress this point, okay? This is stuff that we knew was happening. It's just now we're getting the proof. So if this is stuff that we all knew, and we were crazy for thinking these things, right?
Yeah.
Has anything else happened over the past few years that guys like us are crazy for being suspicious of, and it'd just be real damn funny if proof of certain things were to... Because I'm sure that whole thing with Hunter Biden's laptop and how this very platform suppressed it, I'm sure that was just an outlier, right?
Right.
Jeffrey Epstein totally killed himself. 2020 was absolutely the most fortified election ever, right? Right? And
Steve beat you to the amphibian priapism suggestion.
And hey, look, everybody knew from the beginning that the most awesome vaccines of all time weren't absolutely 100% perfect, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to stop before I get our channel whacked, but, just
Y'all be
saying.
safe out there, and we will see you tomorrow.